Here's a preview of this episode.
Night, and we're driving over to Derek Walton's mic. How long you been doing comedy?
7 years.
7 years.
And it was revealed that people were there after a funeral. So.
And now this episode.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm here with Scott Schnurr. We just came from Comedy Works South at New Talent Night, and we're driving over to Derek Walton's mic at Scruffy Murphy's. Awesome mic, downtown Denver. Howdy Scott, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Thank
Good.
you. Thank you for driving me. I hope we're going to a mic and not to be murdered. But
Yeah, we'll find out.
We'll find out. I won't find
we'll
out.
have it on tape.
Yeah.
How long you been doing comedy?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Why'd you start? Or what was it? Do you remember your first mic? Or your first whatever? What was
Oh,
your
yeah.
first? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I started in Philadelphia. I
Okay.
just looked it up on Craigslist.
Okay.
It was at a bar. Can't really remember the name of the bar. Brought like probably 3 or 4 of my friends.
Okay.
Went up probably third or fourth. It was a bunch of like older guys that were doing it. Did my set all about To Catch a Predator. Terrible, just terrible, just really bad. No creative writing, nothing good. After my set, the guy that went up after me started doing some crowd work, and it was revealed that people were there after a funeral. So yeah, and then he almost got in a fight with one of them, and that was my introduction to comedy.
That's open mic comedy.
Open
Really,
mic
nothing's probably changed in 7 years.
No, nothing has changed. Still a lot of death threats. Yeah.
I only have like one recurring question
Okay.
in this series, and it's if you could time travel back to your first mic,
Uh,
what would you tell yourself that would make things better for you?
Well, so I started when I was like 22, right out of college, and I started in Philadelphia, and I did mics for about 6 months, and then like a lot of young, dumb morons, I thought I should have been getting more opportunities, and I wasn't because I was terrible, and so I stopped until I moved out to LA at 25. So I would tell myself to just keep going.
Yeah.
Don't like never think that you deserve anything in comedy. You don't deserve anything until you get something. So I
Right.
would just tell myself, just keep grinding away, keep plugging away, always work harder because somebody else is working harder. That's
So,
like,
does the 7 years include the 3-year gap, or are you?
No,
is
no,
it
it's-
10 years, but 7 years actually doing comedy?
7 years actually doing comedy. I really
Okay.
started for real when I moved to LA at 25, and it's been 7 years
Okay.
consecutively, continuously.
Got it.
The first one off 6 months was,
You don't really count that.
no, I don't really count that.
So how was your first mic after 3 years? You
So
were like Rocky, in hiding, training, getting ready.
I was writing, but it certainly wasn't at a high enough level to be anything, earth-shattering or anything good. I mean, so I went from doing it for like 6 months in Philadelphia, which is Philadelphia, to then moving to LA and picking it up again. So it was like literally like crawling to trying to compete for state titles and track. Like it
Right.
was not an easy transition. So I just kind of relied on just natural lack of fear of being in front of people, and then just trial and error, saying stuff, trying to get it to work, writing, saying stuff, trying to get it to work.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like starting over.
It was completely starting.
Have you traveled a bunch? Have you been to other cities besides Denver and LA to do comedy?
I've gone back to Philadelphia and
Or in
I've done
Philadelphia.
some stand-up, and then I've done some stand-up in New York.
Okay.
And
These are all
then
big leagues.
I've gone to San Diego and Vegas.
Oh, cool.
That's just
What's San Diego like?
San Diego's great. It's really fun.
Okay.
It's a great atmosphere. I find it similar to Denver in that it's just it's regular people coming out to enjoy themselves.
Okay.
So it's fun. It's a good time.
You have any good LA famous people stories? Does that happen? Is that a thing? Do you run into famous people in Los Angeles?
I've never talked to any famous people. I've been in like clubs and famous comedians have popped up and done sets, but I've never like one-on-one had a conversation with any of them. I mean, I kind of am a pretty big introvert, as well as like I respect their space when they come out, because it's just like, Moses parting the Red Seas. It's just like people are just flocking to them, really.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I was probably a year into doing comedy in LA, and Chappelle popped into the theater that I was interning at, and that was like when he was just getting back into stand-up. Probably, well, it must have been like 6 years ago.
Okay.
So that was like,
That's pretty cool.
just cool that like here is this iconic comedian, world famous, one of the greats, and there he is just like popping up, and he hopped up on stage and was just hilarious, and you could tell that there were things that he was working on that were not polished, and even still it was just very funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
So
awesome.
that's about as close as I've ever gotten to, I guess, your quintessential LA experience.
Right.
Yeah.
You haven't been at like Starbucks and had Tom Cruise wander by or anything
I mean,
that you know of?
I've seen celebrities out. Like I saw Reese Witherspoon out.
Oh, cool.
I've seen Owen Wilson out, but like
From a distance.
yeah.
But
like,
you're in the same room with them. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Or the same city block or whatever.
Yeah, I mean they're with their kids. Yeah, I don't want to bother them.
Yeah.
That's like the last thing you want to do is just go talk to somebody who's with their
You just
child.
get into a
Like,
bush and pull out your phone and take pictures.
you just stare, and then they see you staring, and then that's enough.
Yeah.
And then you just they walk away, and then you walk away. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
That's about as close of an LA celebrity experience I've had.
Have you run shows or run mics or anything like that?
Yep. So I ran a mic for about 4 years at the Westside Comedy Theater.
That's the best.
I don't know. I was kind of mean, so I don't know
Oh,
if I
yeah?
was a hero.
Well, that's a hard job. You kind of got to be to keep people to their time. And
I would challenge myself to riff off of what the comic had just said before I introduced the next comic, and I would tend to be a little mean in what I would say.
Oh, I see. Kind of
You know.
roasting.
Yeah, it would be an informal roast.
Have you
yeah.
been to Roast Battle in at the Comedy Store?
Yeah, I've been a couple of times. Yeah,
Okay,
it
yes. Cool.
it's gotten insanely popular, so it's like they don't let as many people just hang around anymore because they have to stick to it. But I've been to a few. I've seen friends go. I've helped some friends write some jokes.
Oh, cool. Fun.
It's a cool experience.
Huh. That's neat.
Yeah.
Have you been to Kill Tony or any of the other shows at Comedy Store?
I've gone to Potluck. I've done some
Have you
bringer
gotten up there?
shows. I've gotten up before. It's been a very long time since I've gotten up again. I've done some bringer shows in the Belly Room, as almost everybody has in the LA comedy scene. I haven't done Kill Tony.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Cool.
don't really have a desire to do it, but it's
Do 1 minute.
it's very, very popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's a huge audience.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? So you've been in LA for doing comedy for 7 years. How does it compare to the Denver comedy scene? From whatever experience you have out here.
I mean, I feel like I have a limited experience in both markets to really give analysis, but I mean, the Denver audiences, I've always found them to be very fun to perform in front of. They're very, very like in the moment. They embrace you. They're right along with you. LA is a little, depending on the show, can be a little bit more challenging. It's most shows in LA, the people that are at the venue don't realize that a show is going to happen because there's a show in like on every corner in LA. So maybe it's not that fair to judge them on their, alertness and attentiveness. I would say that's maybe the difference. I feel like there's a little bit of a feeling of, there's a heightened sense of competitiveness in LA than in Denver. Denver's definitely much more mellow, kind of like everybody's just hanging out, where in LA it kind of has more of a feeling like you want to do well every time because you want to be the best person in the room.
Right.
Because it's LA and you need to be the best person in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any crazy open mic stories from running a mic for as long as you did, or
Yeah.
elsewhere?
Oh yeah. Like some legit crazy people have come in, like a woman like wearing like kind of like gypsy clothes with like a tinfoil mask, did not put her name in the bucket, therefore was not called, and then like 3 comics into the open mic, like stood up saying that she should be next, and that was she was like kind of casting spells. That was a touchy situation. I've seen like people take their clothes off. Sometimes not even part of a bit, just taking
like
their
on
clothes
stage?
off on stage.
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
that's interesting. They're all shapes and sizes with their bodies doing that, and that's.
Do you have any like what's the worst comedy stuff you've seen at an open micers / advice you could give to somebody who's in their first year, let's say, doing comedy?
I mean, I try. I mean, I literally just said that I was a mean host at an open mic, but I try to have like not a judgmental view when it comes to open mics, because they're open mics. They're not to me, they're not the ultimate judge of how good you are. You need to be in front of live people for that to happen. But I would say my biggest pet peeve in comedy is when it's typically somebody that's new to comedy is at an open mic and they're acting far above their level. They're just being very arrogant. They're being very, self-centered. And it's like, listen, you don't have it all figured out. None of us really have it all figured out. Like, just be polite and be kind, and things will start to happen. Like, you don't need to have this intense, like, I'm the best person in this room, you better laugh at me, because you're not. You're brand new to it. You're gonna suck. We all sucked. Everybody sucks.
Right.
So just kind of be a little bit more humble, a little bit more, open to the process. I mean, any advice, my advice is worth nothing. I mean, it's just try to be funnier than you were the last time you got up on stage. That's really all you can do.
Nice.
Yeah.
You have any kind of process to your writing, or has your writing evolved over 7 years?
I'm a terrible writer.
Or how do you write, I guess?
I'm like, I could never study in school, and that has now translated to how I approach joke writing. I'm not like, I can't just sit down at a table and write. I just can't do it. So usually it'll be something I'll just kind of pop in my head, and then I'll just either on my phone or on a notepad, wherever I can get paper, I'll just write it all out. And then I do a lot of like writing on stage, like go up with an idea that has a couple sentences to it, and kind of work through it that way, because I just think better in the moment than I do kind of preparing things. That's just how I operate. I'm much better off the top of my head than I am with a full manuscript in front of me to read from.
Nice.
Yeah, but everybody's different. Everybody has their own style.
Do you record your sets?
No, like I don't do the voice recorder thing for open mic sets. I don't do that.
Okay.
I try to tape shows, and then look at them and kind of reevaluate. I'm never happy with any set.
What's
that I've ever
something
done.
recently you noticed in a tape of yourself that you thought, oh, I can do that better?
One thing that I noticed is like I kind of took this like weird like stance with like my right leg in front of my left leg, and like I would do a little rock back and forth. Like I would almost like look like I was going to take a step but never take a step and lean back, and I was like, I'm doing this a little too much. This is kind of weird. I'm not moving side to side. I'm not even moving forward to backward. I'm just kind of like rocking on like the heat, like on the front of my foot.
Huh.
So I was like, I should not do that anymore.
That's good.
That's a weird thing.
That's a good thing you got from a tape.
Yeah.
How about a cool show story? What's like a highlight or a low light, I guess, of shows you've done?
A low light is every time it doesn't go well. It's like, I would say a low light is probably, it was when I first was doing stand-up out in LA. I got asked to do a belly room show at this comedy store. I didn't know that it was a bringer show because I was brand new, had no idea. The person that ran the show told me that like they've had famous people drop in before, like Cat Williams. And so like I posted on Facebook like, oh, I'm doing this show that like Cat Williams has done. And I get there and she's like, oh, well, no one has bought any tickets under your name, so I can't put you up. And I was like, okay, yep, now I earned that chip. I earned that patch to put on my jacket. I was like, okay. And Cat Williams was not there. So it was that was definitely a low light. But like, everybody kind of goes through it. I mean, a highlight is just anytime it goes well, anytime like you feel like it goes well, or somebody just even acknowledges it as you leave the theater or the club, that they just say, hey, good set. Like,
Yeah.
that's
How
that's
often
always
do
nice.
you, would you say you do comedy?
I mean, I do open mics probably 5 nights a week.
Wow, that's great.
Shows, I just suck at asking. I just don't ask. I hate it. I hate the process.
Yeah.
I know it's a big process. I know it's a big part of it, but I just hate doing it. So I don't do shows as frequently as I would like, but that's my fault. I need to be better on that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Do you ever take time off? You know, to, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say when I started out doing comedy, you always feel like you're better than you are, and so you get frustrated when you don't see the progress that you feel that you should be seeing, and it's totally on you. You're not prepared. Like, I look at some of the opportunities I wish I had gotten 2-3 years into it, and I wasn't ready. And if I had gotten those opportunities, I could have stunted my entire development. So I'm glad that I didn't get them. But you get frustrated at it. You know, you want, like, I come from a background of like strong work ethic and wanting to see results. So when you do something over and over again and you're not getting the results, you don't like it.
Yeah.
So,
how do you deal with that? Like, what's...
like earlier when I would do it, like I took like, a week off or 2 weeks off, something like that, because just out of frustration. Now I think it's just more like, I always try to point the finger back at myself and say, what could I be doing better? Like, I'm not doing a lot of shows. Well, that's because I'm not asking. That's my fault. That's not the comedy scene's fault. That's not the politics of comedy.
What's the etiquette or like logistics of asking to be on a show in LA? So like a Facebook message, you send tape, like what does that look like? Is it in person?
Yeah.
Or?
I have a friend who's really good at it, and he goes to shows in person, and he's a very social guy, so then he'll talk to people that run the show, and then he'll probably go like 3 times before he even asks to do the show.
Oh, nice. There's the course field.
There we go.
Baseball stadium.
Rockies. So I would say that's probably the best. I mean, because these people get inboxes blown up all the time from Facebook requests and emails and all that stuff. But I always recommend that when you do ask to do something, to submit a tape of yourself.
Yeah.
I think that just shows that you're taking it serious and not just trying to pull one over on the show producer.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're a couple minutes away. I don't know. You got any questions about the Denver scene? Or,
I don't understand. This is not a question, more of just a mini rant. I don't understand how you guys run your mics. That it's a list, and then you don't go in order of the list.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
funny.
it kills me every time.
I have a buddy from Chicago that is not a huge fan of that.
Why do they do that? Just make it a lottery then.
Well, part of it is curating. Part of it is curating the show so that any audience members that are there, you spread out the duds and the high quality people. I mean, part of it is just it's like I don't know what's the word. It's like high school. It's like cliques.
It's very much like high school.
Yeah. So it's favors and
that's
can be hard when you're starting out, and it's super frustrating. But later, it I don't know. It works out eventually, and the reality is that it's good for you in the beginning to sit through a bunch of other open mic comedians.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is important to wait.
But I can see how it would be frustrating being out of town. The thing that I do when I travel, and I don't know if you do this, but when I sign up on the list, I just do Mark Masters, and then I put in parentheses Denver. And sometimes people have no idea what that means. Other times people are like, oh, cool, I respect the Denver scene.
Yeah.
This guy's from Denver. And sometimes I get more than I probably should. Like, I remember a show or a mic in Iowa. There were like 50 comics there. And I went up like 3rd, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And, I did, usually when I travel, I mean, not like when I was just starting, but now, the Denver, like if you think of the Denver open mic scene as a gym, it is a very rigorous and difficult gym. It's a little bit like an all-star. I mean, compared to LA, it's, maybe that's one of the few scenes that is stronger than Denver. But in all my travel to other cities, we're going to see some parallel parking live on camera. Let's see how this goes. I do pretty well at mics around the country. I mean, and part of that is a little bit of cheating in that I'm doing material that I'm not, when I'm traveling, I'm usually hoping to come back again sometime
Right.
and do showcases.
So you're doing A+ material.
Yeah, I'm doing
Well, you
good
should.
material. And,
That's how you should do
nobody's
it.
seen me do it
Right.
there, so it's all fresh. Whereas here, you know, even when I have good material, not that I have a ton of it,
Yeah.
people have seen me working it out, so they're like, there's no surprise.
Right.
Well,
You should do that. You should always do your best material when you're performing in front of somebody for the first time. You should never just do the bit you thought of in the car
Right.
ride over. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see how that's frustrating. There are, if I don't know, in general, if people out there want to contact me, but if you want to contact me, I can tell you which mics are, you know, a meritocracy where it's kind of like all over the place, or it's fair, like just list order or bucket. You know, there's all kinds in Denver, and there's multiple mics every night of the week. So.
Oh, it's a great scene out here.
Yeah.
I like it. I like coming here.
Yeah. All right, cool. Any closing thoughts? Anything
No,
you
well,
want to share? Anything you want to pitch? Any I don't know, social or anything like that?
I'm on the stuff. I hate it, but yeah, you can just type in my name. You'll find me.
Schnurr.
Yep.
Out of Los Angeles. All right, Scott Schnurr, Mark Masters. Oh, I didn't pitch the book.
Oh.
I don't know if I have a copy of it yet.
Oh,
Here.
no.
Anyways, check out notgoodyet.com, folks. All right, bye-bye. See you next time.
Thank you.
Okay.